Good evening, race fans. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. I'm Adam Ross. He's Clinton Geoffrey, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight. 2 wheels, 4 wheels, dirt, asphalt, short tracks, 1 mile ovals. Clinton, we got it all.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us in our weekly chat. We will be moving to Tuesdays now as we coincide, and we're trying to find the right way to explain to Adam. We still haven't found the right terminology to talk about iRacing, but I think we're going from outdoor to indoor as a safe bet. So as we transition from outdoor to indoor season, we will be moving to Tuesdays, and things have already picked up on the other leagues. Adam, give us the correct names because I will still screw it up of our Monday night associate leagues. So people who might want to check them out on Mondays because I was looking at them last night.
Let's get this right because it is still the Ashwekan Outlaws. And it is that for the next 5 weeks until things start out. Then we're going to brand them Rivals. But we do need to give credit to the Ashwekan Outlaws because that's what it was formed as. And that group has put together a solid contingent of passionate racers. And man, oh man, last night's race was fantastic. I just sort of hung out behind Connor and watched him do his thing. He had a good night last night, made some enemies out there, and had a top five finish. So that's what you're supposed to do in this thing.
Like a good racer should. No, I was watching a bit of it too. I wasn't familiar with a lot of the names, and that's a great thing, that we're bringing new blood to the deal. So we'll get back to our iRacing situation coming up shortly in a little bit. But first off, Adam, I left you alone all day today because, were you in a bad mood? Did I piss you off at the first interaction we had around lunchtime today? Because you went
No, did we
silent.
talk around lunchtime?
Oh,
No,
okay. So,
I was really busy today.
see, so like a typical needy spouse on the other side, I'm over there thinking all these horrible things, like you're pissed off at me, and really you just didn't give a shit what I had going on today. No, could you send me, and I'll let you respond to that, and then I'll tell you why I thought you were mad. No
No,
response. Okay, so I'll tell you why I
I've
thought I
been in
was
the
mad.
same place. All right. You go ahead because I was gonna come back with because one of us has a job.
Hey, I'm trying to get
Race
paid.
season's over, buddy. Race season is over.
it's
But
funny you
you and
say
I
that because
see.
that's the
This is when the
biggest
job
question
gets
I
harder,
get is what do you do in the off season? What do you do now?
and that's
Well, I make all the magic that just happened the last 6 months right now. It's funny you ask that.
yeah.
So we're already into corporate deals. I can tell you quickly off the top, and I'll get back to why I thought you were mad at me. Um, we're working with corporate deals. So I'm a little bit under the weather since Saturday. I'm trying not to cough on camera. We were a little bit under the weather since Saturday, and then we started talking about all these corporate deals going on. I've already talked to a bunch of major sponsors about next year. We've also got our television deal, Adam. So one thing I can let everybody know is it is another 2 years on the television deal at Oshweekend Speedway. So for the race teams who are asking, we're gonna have some more rollouts about that. But I can confirm that was big news from this week, and that's what we're trying to put together deals. And Adam, I can say the schedule for next year is probably 80% done already, with the exception of a few key events. And it'll linger for a while, but it's been great to be on top of things already. And the banquet, at Oshweekend, we don't just rent a gymnasium and put up some paper on tables like we did the first year. And that's a quick story I should tell too about our first time at the banquet, because I don't think we've ever told that on the show. We've told it at the banquet.
We should
But
never tell those stories.
But at Oshweekend, it's a full production now. We've got the whole video crew coming in. Like last year, we had a violinist. We had the whole. In the years past, we had comedians. We just do it upright. So that's a lot of planning going on right now, putting the budgets together, figuring out all the payouts. But let's talk quickly about that. Our very first banquet in 1998. You and I were both there. We didn't have women at the time. We were single, and we're sitting there, and so we're us young
It was
naive
the old.
announcers.
It
Oh,
was
at the
so
old,
long
old,
ago. The old Ancaster Fairgrounds.
yeah, the old First Merit Hall out on Gardner Road,
That's
I
what it
think it
was
was.
called. Yep.
So we were, Adam and I both show up. We're young announcers. I was 22. You were, I don't know, whatever that makes you, minus me. But we're there, and we show up, and we're sitting at the head table with all the big executives and all the race officials. And we're young and naive at the time, and we're thinking that somebody wrote the script for us, picked out all the awards, set all the trophies, and we're just there to give them out, right? and Glenn rolls in typical Steyer style, and he says, I says, okay, we got trophies? He goes, yep, they're in the back of the truck. We get there, we start unloading them. They're all blank. He ordered 50 blank trophies and told us at dinner time to pick who we wanted to give them to. You guys pick, he says. So there's Adam and I feverishly not enjoying our roast beef dinner, trying to figure out, well, damn, who was the best appearing car? Who was the fun nights? And then to make things better, we did have just long tables with paper on it, and I knocked over my beer, and it was like, you know, when you drop beer on a drop of water on paper, and it just kind of migrated along the whole table. Oh man, what a night! We've come a long
But
way since
the
then.
funny thing is, we did that at the banquet for how many years? We didn't. That
Well,
wasn't just 1 year. We sat there. Now we knew the next year to spend a little bit more time planning, but I don't think we really got good at it for a number of years. I mean, that's back in the '90s too, but those were
not
the
much
days.
better. Not much better. The reason I thought you were mad at me today is because you sent me a pic and you said, "What's wrong with this pic?" Like you're constantly with the "Where's Waldo" bullshit, and I'm like, and I yelled at you. I said, "Can you just get to the point? And what am I supposed to look at?" Because you'll do that with press releases too. You'll send me a press release and you say, "What's wrong with this?" So I read the whole thing and I'm thinking of something totally off kilter, and you're like, "No, it has no title." So today I just snapped. I'm like, "Can we cut the bullshit? What am I trying to see here?" And then you left me alone the rest of the day. So I thought you snapped.
No, I was driving a truck at the time. Like I had just picked up a truck and I looked down and I saw your message to me. I'm like, oh, I'll let him sit on this for a little while because I was driving. And then I stayed busy and didn't think of you again, which doesn't happen because usually we talk quite often.
So let's jump into Applefest round. I'm just pulling up my message I got from Mark Rinaldi about their weekend at Brighton, which you and I both have a good spot in our heart for Brighton. We love what's gone on there. They've really built it up, and he almost has the same problem on this weekend that we do at our weekend many nights, where it is having too much going on, too many people that want to be a part of your deal, and that is causing him to have some late nights. And they had to, carry some stuff over from Friday. And I know we were joking with Greg a little bit about the time it was going to take, but whenever you get in that quality of show, you know it's going to take time like that. But looking for Mark here, when we talked about it, he said everything went pretty good. They were real happy with how everything went. I think he said 7 classes on the Saturday, 190 campsites were sold, or that was like on Thursday. 7 total classes, 179 cars, and this was on Friday night, he told me. So I didn't get the full rundown on Saturday, but great deal for them. You can imagine they're going through it. If you've been to Brighton now, like you and I have been on the inside, it's a hectic scene because they run a snappy show. Like, I'll give Brighton credit. I'll put them up against Oshweekend for how fast they run a show. They are snappy over there. I'm shocked how fast we're back on the road when we go down there to fill in. And, I can only imagine what they're going through with that busy of a situation happening.
Well, I messaged Angie Rinaldi. I can't remember. It had to have been Friday night. Maybe it was Saturday. And once in a while, I'll do that. Hey, how's things going? She was actually at the grocery store because they had run out of certain things in the concession stands, and they had to have something they could sell to the fans. So she was at the grocery store replenishing the stock for the concession stands. A pretty cool problem for them to have. So they actually had more racers on Friday night than they did on Saturday. And I'm actually reading Angie's comments right now. You learn from the true best, Clinton. So they do a pretty good job down there.
See, Angie's always watching because she knows we're going to talk about her. It's like a true mom. She can hear the whispers from afar and come sliding in. Did you say on her broom or did I say on her broom?
Well, I'm impressed they got internet in Brighton. I don't know when that happened.
Oh,
she loves
it, bro. Keep going. Keep going.
Loves
this is going to be good.
Yeah.
Ange will clean the floor with you. Keep it up.
We'll see her at Dirt Week. I've been their designated driver most years at Dirt Week for many, many years. They work hard and they play hard. They have a good time. And we talked for how long did we talk about it, Clint? Brighton Speedway Applefest is one to put on the calendar. And what I'm happy for is the weather forecast was fantastic and the weather was fantastic. You need both. You need both for an event like that to really go off well, get the people pumped up. And from what I gather, it was beautiful days down there and long nights of racing because there was so much action on the racetrack. So that's pretty cool.
Great job by them. They got a couple more events coming up, and then they're pretty much done for the season. So awesome for that. Let's move on to bikes at Ushweek. Adam, of course, you weren't there. You were down at the next segment in the roundup that we'll be talking about. That is the NASCAR Pinty Series at New Hampshire Speedway. We'll talk about that coming up next. But the bikes at Ushweek, we put the micro sprints out there on the small track while the bikes were getting ready on the big track, and the racing was pretty good. And Spencer, I'm not sure if you got a clip of this, but we talked about how great these guys were, and throw up some sound if you can too, Spencer. These guys are some of the experts, and it's just wild to see these guys go.
Is that Pat Gonzalez doing some of the voice?
No, it's Todd Valley.
His younger brother Tyler back there behind him.
But
I think the man on the move right
some of the
now.
racing was just awesome. We used the back stretch as the front stretch, and it was a unique setup there. For those who've never seen it, it was quite cool to check it out.
So Brown made his way past Brandon Seguin, but Brandon Seguin is not giving up here. Way down at the bottom of the track now. We got another rider pulling off. Seguin making a move, but Brown answers right back. I believe that's Kyle.
And these guys throwing slide jobs at each other. It was super exciting to see these guys put on the show. They had like over 150 riders, and the track was awesome for them. And see them digging in on the bottom, using all the different lanes. And I sat with my brother Mike, and we were shocked by how wild these guys were.
Oh, they've got nerve like nobody I've ever seen.
All right, Spencer, that's good for that. But so they're awesome to see.
The only time during the week that my dog grabs his squeaky toy and wants to play with it at my feet. So it's when I put this headset on, Clinton, maybe it's the sound of your voice that makes him want to come over, lay down, and see, I tune it out. But I know that it drives you and Spencer absolutely bonkers, which it should. But
it's the first rule of broadcasting school. You know, you don't have enough sense to take the squeaky toy and throw it in the backyard for a half an hour.
Do you know how many classes I missed at broadcasting school?
All of them, because you didn't go to broadcasting school.
All of them. Every damn one. Attaboy.
All right. Moving on here. The bikes were great. We look forward to having flat track bikes back. If you want to make sure, come back and check them out next year. I'm sure we'll be having them back. It was a successful deal. So moving on, NASCAR Pinty Series at New Hampshire. Adam, I can't believe I got to do this, but I got to pay you a good compliment. I had, like I said, started the bikes. I started to get a bit of the flu, and I've been under the weather since. And Sunday I woke up, wasn't feeling that good, but I saw the race was on. Someone shared it on YouTube from Fans Choice, and you did an awesome job calling the race. The race was exciting to watch, and it was really good. So I want to send my hat off to you. You did an awesome job.
Thanks, man. It was I know it has to. It was a lot of fun. It helps that it's a good race. And we had the same thing come up that we had not long ago. It's on Fans Choice. So the people that were doing the video come and say, would you mind trying to stick to the action that's on the screen? So I give the typical response, I can live with that, but make sure the action on the screen is the action that's on the racetrack, because that's what I'm going to be calling. So, but I mean, it was obvious where the action was, as you see Andrew Ranger making the pass here for the lead. Kevin Lacroix dominated the entire race, but this is what you would see. So the groove Ranger's running right now is the racing groove. So you'd go into the corner, keep a high line and a high arc, and come off the turn on the outside. And that's where you had to be to get a run. So Alex Labbe had been chasing down Lacroix for laps. So Lacroix led the first 90 some odd laps. Then Ranger got by and drove away because Lacroix had used up, I think he'd used up his right rear. I think he was getting pretty loose. So here's Labbe digging and digging, trying to get to the inside. Now keep in mind, Lacroix led a lap, so he got a bonus point. Lacroix led the most laps. So he was going to leave here with the points lead. If he could run second or third to Andrew Ranger, it would be close. It would be almost a dead heat going into Jacasa. But he had to think big picture and just ride around. You know, it'd be nice if he could beat Alex LeBay, but if he couldn't, don't sweat it. So what happened was LeBay is hounding him lap after lap. Now we're getting right down to the end. We just fast forwarded here about 5 laps. So they're coming to 2 to go.
Can we hear the call to race at all, Spencer?
Lap down. Ranger not able to get that done. Ranger going to have to negotiate carefully. Now gets clear of Landauer. Here comes LeBay on the bottom. LeBay going to try one more time. Kevin Lacroix runs him down the racetrack.
Kevin Lacroix defends that inside position. Last time through 3 and 4. Andrew Ranger working his way through the corner. LeBay to the inside of Kevin Lacroix for the win in the Visit New Hampshire 100. There's Andrew Ranger. Lacroix stuffs it into the wall. Will he cross the start-finish line? He has got to get the car running. Oh, Kevin Lacroix after contact with Alex LeBay. Look, he is 20 feet.
This is unbelievable.
He is 20 feet from the
and
points
losing
lead.
Points as he sits there.
Every car that goes by as we are under yellow, unofficially.
So it looks as though he'll finish.
Wow.
And he climbed out of the race car and calmly walked back to his trailer. And as we see, I'm looking forward. We're going to do this, the call to this race for TSN tomorrow night in Toronto. I'm looking forward to a in-car replays because every angle I've seen, to me, makes it look like LeBay is just heading at a crazy angle. Well, that one gave us a glimpse. He had gotten loose, and he was just in the process of gathering it up.
Okay, so before I get to my assessment of it, where's the point standings now, and how does this set up going into this weekend quickly? And then I want to give my assessment of what I felt happened there.
I think Andrew Ranger's 11 points up now on Kevin Lacroix going into Jacasa. It's going to be a full field. It looks like it is. It looks like there's going to be 24 cars. That's a big deal because the more cars you have, the more positions you can lose. So if you lead a lap, lead the most laps, win the race, there's 5 bonus points. So basically the quad needs to dominate and win, which he can do. And then Ranger needs to basically finish outside of the top 5, I believe. I haven't seen, there'll be a chart, a spreadsheet for us to have to know who's going to win the title as soon as the checkered flag flies. But it would have been a dead heat going into that race.
My feelings are LeBay should have given him more room. Obviously, that's the captain obvious response. But the issue here is, you're not even in this deal, really, LeBay, and you spin the guy out who's in the points battle with coming with 1 race to go and 1 lap. And this is the result. You know what I mean? Is there history between these guys, Adam, that you're aware of?
Oh, there's a lot of history between them, but they really seem to have said, that's what I want to see. Even Spencer, back that up a touch. LeBay was sideways going through turn 4. So there was stuff going on before that we didn't see. So, I mean, I see it both ways. I feel horrible for Kevin Lacroix. I'm sorry that happened. I chatted with a few people in the garage after the race. They thought it was fairly mutual. But as you say, you're messing with the points battle. I've got the utmost respect for Alex LeBay and for Kevin Lacroix. I'm sorry it happened. I wish it hadn't happened because, as I say, it would have set up a phenomenal one-on-one battle at Jacasa.
That gets us set up as we get set to roll in. Anything else you want to wrap up with New Hampshire, Adam? And I was kind of questioning.
Yes.
How the race would end up, but it looked really good. It looked fast. For the size of the track and how fast they were going, those guys were assy all day, bumping all day. If you can get a chance on Fans Choice, go back and watch it. It was one of the more exciting NASCAR Pinty's races. If you're into that Saturday night, rumble style, elbows up driving, and there was a lot of that going on from what I could see.
Well, I'll tell you, Andy and Pete are the track announcers there. Joe works the infield. Great guys to work with. Andy also works at Devil's Bowl in Vermont, the dirt track. Works at a few places. And we got chatting about announcing, and he says, I really prefer announcing dirt races because even when it's not a great race, the way they drive the corners, it always looks like they're side by side, always looks like they're action. And I said, it's funny. I prefer announcing an asphalt race because everything happens a bit slower. You can kind of set things up and follow them through, whereas dirt, things happen so fast. So it's just the contrast of how the races go. But so I said that because we had 20 cars on a 1 mile track, so they do get spread out. But there was always something to watch. It was entertaining. I mean, our show was night and day better than the K&N series show. I walked away. I found other things to do. I walked around the facility just because I wanted to check things out. But the modified race at Loudon, that was on my bucket list. That's one of those races like the Chili Bowl events that I just wanted to see before I leave this earth. Modifieds at New Hampshire and Clint, they did not disappoint. They are crazy. They are fast. They race Loudon the same way they race Bowman Gray Stadium. And it was just insane. Phenomenal race.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier that you wanted to maybe put together a bucket list of races we wanted to get to. For me, going to Bristol was one this year. I wanted to get down there, so I got to do that. So we both checked a couple things off our list this year, which Dean and Debbie, they just got that new trailer. They're bugging me to go to Talladega, and that is my other bucket list deal. If we hadn't done so much traveling already, I would love to have gone there. They're going to stay right down on the main drag in Talladega, but 23 hours in a truck's just too much for me, man. I think I'm out for that for now. But
at this point in our lives, how often do you get to go to a racetrack you've never been to?
How often do I get to go to a racetrack where I can just have fun and let my hair down? You know what I mean? Like, that was the best part of going to Bristol is I didn't have to work for 4 days at a racetrack, and I got to be a fan and just do what we had to do, So it was great.
I stood on top of a motor.
See how the other side lives. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, with the GM Paillet gang, and they wouldn't let me not have a beer. So had a couple of beers on the roof of the motorhome and got dizzy watching the modified race. And it was just a great experience. And they had a great crowd. It looked like nobody was there because the place seats like 70,000 people. But you talk to them, because they lost their one cup race, they only have one cup race a year. They're trying to build this as a real grassroots show. And I was talking to one of the promoters there, and he says, Adam, basically, we're promoting a short track race at a national facility. He said, so you look at that crowd up there, that's great for us. And there probably was 6,000, 7,000 people scattered around all of those grandstands. If you put them together, it would have been impressive. If you put them in our Ashwegan stands, they would have been pretty full. But at Loudon, it looked like a drop in the bucket. But the atmosphere was still good and growing.
Great to hear. Let's set up Chicasa, Adam. Getting it ready to go for Chicasa and the final Pinty Series race of the year. We'll both be on the scene working it for you'll be working the grandstand crowd. I'll be with the TSN crew, and then of course you'll voice that one after. Excited to be back at Chicasa. What do the fans need to know about Saturday's event, and why do they need to be there if the finish to that one didn't set it up good enough for you?
It's going to be a show. It's called the Fall Brawl, and it really is. I'm disappointed Alex Lebay is not going to be racing this weekend. So Kevin Lacroix will not get to seek revenge. Lebay is going to Charlotte to race at the Roval, and good for him. So he'll have a fill-in driving the 36 car for Dave Jacobs, but that would have been fun. But anytime you have a points battle going into the last night, there's going to be a race within a race. In my opinion, Andrew Ranger is going to have to drive a conservative race, and that drives him mental. Like, he's just not good at it. He's better when you send him out to drive as hard as he can. So in him trying to stay out of trouble, we're probably going to see him get into trouble in certain cases. Kevin Lacroix is going to take no prisoners. He wants to lead the whole thing. I think it's going to be a good show.
All right, so check it out. You can find them on the web, Jocasta Motor Speedway, and pick up tickets if you want to go there. We'll be there. Of course, tickets available at the gate. Let's move on to the Rivals schedule. Talking about iRacing and our own Rivals Racing League coming up. Exciting things on the go. Big cash money league this year. First off, let's talk about the schedule.
So we're going to race Tuesday nights. The Elite League will start up at 9 o'clock. Our first race is October 22nd. We'll release the full schedule. We've still got a couple of things we want to iron out because we are not going to race on weeks where iRacing puts out updates because everything seems to glitch. It's not a good time for that. There's going to be a break in December around Christmas and New Year, but we can tell you it's going to be a 20 race schedule Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock. You can expect to see 48 cars every night. No more, maybe a few less. But I expect with people paying their way in, we're going to have at least 40, up to 48 cars every night for the show. What else do we have to know about that?
Costs
Qualifiers
and
every.
teams.
So of those 40, there's going to be teams of drivers, teams of 4 drivers. We've already had a number of them entered. We are going to accept individual entries, $250 for the season. Monday night, which is what we're going to talk to Roger Craig about. So he's got 2 leagues on Monday night. His main league on Monday, top 3 finishers from that who are not already entered in the Rivals Elite League will get to race in the Rivals Elite program the following night. On Tuesday night, our 7 p.m. race, our Rivals Gauntlet race, the top 5 non-qualified drivers, so non-elite drivers, will transfer into the elite show. So there'll be 8 drivers that are able to transfer in, and then the 40 drivers who are registered. And we're well on our way, Clint, to having those teams filled in.
Yeah, so let's talk about a couple of situations how drivers can get in this deal. One, you can get together with 4 of your buddies and go after some sponsorship like some of the teams have done. They've worked it out and they've got sponsorship, and they will bring those 4 drivers will get $1,000 sponsorship, put together the team, and whatever they do with the payouts is between them and their sponsor. We've also got other guys who have got together who are sponsors who said, hey, I want, like Rick Scott said, hey, I've got a sponsorship in Strickland's, and he talked to Glenn Stiers and formed the first team, Strickland's GSR, which is going to be the first online team. He went out, recruited a couple of good drivers, said, hey, we'll cover your entry fee. And now we also have drivers who will pay their individual $250 to get in. We're excited tonight to talk about the payouts and how that's all going to work out. We'll get to that in a second. And we'll bring up a graphic on the screen to show you how the payouts are going to go. And we're super pumped to say that all the money's going back, first off. So let's clear up a couple of things. Every dollar goes back to the team. So we're not taking anything out of this. It's all getting paid out over the course. So $12,000 will be brought in. Go ahead.
Let's explain why we did it, Clint, because you and I went back and forth. We built this stuff last year. It didn't go perfectly. We had a lot of growing pains. But when we set up for this year, okay, we want to do things a little bit better. We want to create this. We want to create that. You came along saying, look, money is the way to do this. So the only reason we made this a money league was because when people pay to do something, you basically have them committed. So we're looking to have something we can broadcast as an elite level product. To do that, we need to know we're going to have a full field of cars every week. So just like we have at Oshweekend Speedway, we need good officiating. We need a good rules package. We need the right energy involved. So that's how we came about. Okay, we're going to do teams and driver entries. They're going to put money into the pot. That's how they're going to be committed. We can commit to them by putting together this broadcast and putting on a great show. So the pieces of the puzzle really started to come together. But that's what leads us to, Clinton, what you were saying is every dollar that goes in is going right back out. Well, not right back out. It'll go out at the end of the season. So all of these entry fees, there's no administrative fee, there's no nothing. We are in fact, we will spend more money than we bring in. Because 40 drivers at $250 a driver is $10,000. We're paying out $12,000. So that other $2,000 is going to come from sponsorship We're looking to sell sponsorship for Rivalz Gauntlet. We're looking to sell sponsorship for the Monday night program, which we kind of have through Strickland's, but some of that's going towards the broadcast. But anyhow, all the money that comes in from entry fees is going right back out to the racers plus some.
Yeah, so drivers, like you said, you can form a team with your buddies. You can form 4 of you, get a sponsorship. You can get a half sponsorship, pay win, whatever you want. But we'll talk about how you get involved at the end. Let's bring up the pay up, Adam. So here it is on the bottom of the screen. This is your Rivalz Racing League points fund payout for a 20 race series. So that's 20 races. Are you allowing 2 drops, Adam, to make it your best 18, or is it a 22 race series with your best 20?
We're actually going to do 3 drops. So it's 20 races, your best 17 nights count. Finish in the top 15 in points, you get your money back. So basically, if you finish 11th or better, you're making money. And that's something, do we want to talk about that now, Clinton, or do we want to talk about that later on when we talk about the teams and the individual drivers?
Well, we should talk about it now. So what you've got is $2,000 for a win, $1,500. That's a good payout for a $250 investment, especially if you can get a sponsor to come on board and sponsor your team, and you can get in for free and then figure out how you want to do with that. But we do have some teams to announce, so it has taken off, especially in the past couple of days. Teams have really ramped up what they're doing now. Why I get excited about this, Adam, is because I know I'm not going to be. If I was involved in this as a participant, I know that I'm not going to be a top 3, top 5 driver. But I think if I'm half decent, I probably could be in the top 15 and get my money back. And that's the exciting part about this is it pays out pretty good halfway through the field or most of the way through the field. So if you're dedicated every week and you come, there's a good chance you could be in that top 15 just by hanging around every week to get your money back. And like you said, if you're 11th or better, you're making money. If you're winning, that's a good payout for some simulated racing on a Tuesday night. Of course, with us broadcasting it out and everything else we have going on there as well. So super excited about that. Then nightly, we're going to take the other $2,000 and split that up over the nights. And this is the payout for the nightly purse. That'll be paid out at the end with all the point money. But drivers will accumulate winnings throughout the year. So, if you win, let's say 15 of those races, you're making, $450 for hanging around, plus your point fund money too. So it should be interesting to see how all this goes out.
Yeah, it's going to add up. So throughout the year, it's going to be a good thing. The drivers will be able to see what they're accumulating. I'm really excited. I'm excited to see where it goes, Clinton. You and I have had our discussions in the background. Hey, what's this going to look like? Who's going to step forward? And what I'm excited about is so far, all of the teams that have stepped forward are drivers we already know. So we're not seeing quote unquote ringers come in. We're seeing people that have raced with us already. Some of them have brought a few new folks in, but we're seeing people that are already invested in what we've been doing, putting teams together to go racing. So are we ready to show off some of the teams that we've got?
Yeah, let's see what we've got.
So the team number 1, as you mentioned, GSR Strickland's, comes at us. Kevin Lovey's, Cody Hartlob, Rick Scott, Ryan Beagle. That's a potent team. Rick Scott is from Strickland's. And I don't think he'll be too offended if we say as far as team competitors go, he's built almost the perfect team.
Almost?
He wants
Rick the almost there?
Rick wants to come out and race. And I think he'd be the first one to tell you that they will be pulling him up. I am super excited that Dirt Track Digest has stepped up. One of the drivers who was really successful in our series ran week after week, and he's making us announcer folks proud. Adam Buchanan, the racing announcer, is on Team Dirt Track Digest, along with George Smith, who raced with us part-time last year. And the reason he didn't race more is he got very frustrated by the officiating or the lack of officiating last year when things went sideways. So we're going to ease his concerns in about 5 minutes. But joining them are contributors to Dirt Track Digest, Bobby Sweeney and Ty Garl. So neither of them raced with us last year, but Clinton are people we know pretty well from our time at Dirt Track Digest. So I'm pretty pumped up about that. So those are your first 2 teams. Next up, how do you say that?
Team SBS, Slide or Be Slid.
Slide or be slid. I didn't know if there was some cool way to say it. That's how I'd put it together. So Brandon Gutton, Josh Gutton, Craig Booth, and Shane Pierce. Talk about a family affair. Guttons, I think, are brothers, and then Shane Pierce and his uncle Craig Booth make up that team of 4. And then a team that it sort of got pieced together. Sponsorship deal just coming together today. There's some final details to work out on that from what we gather. So they'll announce the name of the team later on, but it's going to be Alan Downey, of course, who we talked about all year long, the iRacer turned great sprint car racer Alan Downey, Connor Ross, and then a couple of Americans, Geoffrey Barker and Jeremy Zarfos, making up that team.
And those 2 ran good as well, the Americans on that team. So it's exciting. So that brings us to a fair number of teams, and it's filling up fast. We've got a couple more weeks to go, Adam. And now let's talk about individuals. Some individuals have said they are committed to the deal. That's Dan Slater Jr., Jason Nygaard, who raced with us a bunch last year, and Michael Morley. And then declared available. What does that mean, Adam?
So these are people who last week went on the Rivalz Racing Facebook page, clicked on send message, because that's what we said to do during last week's show. If you want to let people know that you're available and you're interested, there's some interesting names on this list. Of course, Greg Boydell, we know. He's part of our stream team at Ushweekend. He's the Turn 2 cameraman, the most passionate guy about iRacing probably that we have in our leagues. Chad Cote, Bruce Hilton, both really good competitors, good drivers. One that I don't know much about, but his iRating is phenomenal, Ian Blanchard. So he's one of the Golden Horseshoe fellows, Clinton. I'm sure you're familiar with Ian Blanchard.
Street Stalker from Niagara.
Yeah, but his statistics are off the chart good. So whoever picks this driver up, I think, is going to be adding something pretty cool to their team. Then guys, Chase Swafford, Randy Rockwell, Shiloh Boyce, who ran a lot with us last year. So, I mean, there's a lot of guys who have let it be known that they're available to join a team, because we've had some race teams at Ushweekend Speedway express their interest in putting a group together, Clinton. And I think to do that successfully, you want at least somebody with some iRacing experience.
Yeah, and like you said, some of these guys are going to pull the other guys up, help with setup, help with tips, whatever it takes to really get your team up so everybody's running well. We're excited about that, and it's going to be awesome to have these guys all join with us this year and race. So our last slide here is missing in action. These are some of the drivers who participated with us heavily last year, who have not shown any presence at all, not commented, not gotten anywhere. And right off the top, Dakota Kuhn ran amazing last year. And what's the story there, do you think?
Dakota Kuhn is one that, so I've chatted with a number of people on this list. Just let them know, hey, this is what's going on. What are you thinking? And there's a lot of movement in the background of people talking. Some people just don't like the notion of paying to iRace. They're kind of digging in their heels, saying that's not what we're about. Some are quietly trying to see what's going to develop. Dakota Kuhn was one who said, look, I do this for fun. I'm not about paying to play a game. So, all right, that's all good. If you don't want to, you don't want to. I'm not about.
But that also opens up the door. So if you don't want to pay, right, we have, like you said, we have to cover those other $2,000 spots, and we're hoping to announce the sponsorship of who's going to sponsor the gauntlet teams or the transfer teams, as we've been calling them. We're going to have basically 8 drivers transferring in each week. They're going to have $1,000 for each 4 of them. So it's basically $2,000 we're going to need to round up, which we're not worried about to add to the pot. But so once those transfer teams go in, though, that is an opportunity for a guy like Dakota Kuhn who says, hey, I'm good enough. Michael Rosendahl, too. I'm good enough. I don't have to worry about paying the $250. I'll just race a bit more. I'll come to the 7 o'clock and take my chance on transferring through the gauntlet, or I'll go to the Monday night, Ushweekend Outlaws League and transfer through that. And, there's lots of ways to get that done. So I think we're going to see some of those guys just maybe race a bit more and try and prove it to us that they didn't need to pay to still be in the show.
And that's fantastic. One driver who actually said as much to me, Clinton, was Chris Steele. people talk to him about wanting to get him on a team, wanting to team up and get him involved. He says, he says, I don't know if I want to commit every Tuesday night being available. He says, but I'll just race my way in, on the weeks that I am available. And I could see Chris Steele doing that every week throughout the season and getting into the money positions. So we would love
one of them
that.
just woke up. Steve Goldner just said, hey, Adam, I want to put myself on the available list. So shaking the missing in action tree worked a little bit. We shook one of the fruits loose, and we'll work on getting a few more of them on the ground and get them back to the clay so we can get them racing with us.
So before we go to our next guest, Spencer, put that icon back on the screen about how people let us know that they want to get involved. Facebook.com/Rivalz Racing, Rivalz with a Z. Right in the top corner, it says send a message. Click on send a message. Say, here's my name. Here's where I'm from. If you want to let us know your I rating, your stats, whatever you want, just say I'm interested in being considered for one of the teams for Rivalz Pro Elite. That's how you're going to be considered for one of the teams. If you want to register as an individual, and we've had people register as individuals for one because they have sponsorship and they don't want to be a part of a team, like they're part of their own thing. Also because people just want to do it on their own. They feel confident, and also because they don't want the stress of being a part of a team and having to worry about letting people down. So there's lots of reasons why people would do it individually. But the best thing that we did, Clinton, and you might notice there's one prominent name missing from our list of teams, drivers, and available drivers. Reason being, we have recruited a really good race director who's waited quite a long time. He's been on the line with us here for quite a while, but we're pretty excited to announce Cody Olson is going to be calling the shots on race nights. Cody, good to see you, my man.
Good. How are you guys?
Good. So we've done all of this chatting by text message, Clint. We have Facebook Messenger and chatting here and there, just talking about racing and seeing if you were interested. We were going to get together and chat, but hell, why not do it in public when we've got lots of people watching? But Cody, you come with great references, man. Talk about your vision of officiating a race night.
I mean, you just got to kind of roll with the punches and kind of take it as everything comes. But you just got to make sure that the calls that you do make are fair and unjust, and you keep your personal differences out of it and move forward with the night.
So Cody, you decided to hang up the wheel. How tough is that going to be for you to just sit back and watch all these guys that you raced with go at it and kind of be the sheriff in town now?
Well, being the sheriff in town isn't always the best thing to be all the time. Other than that, it's kind of hard. I still have a bunch of other leagues that I race in, so I mean, iRacing isn't completely out of my life. But I mean, as far as the Rivalz division, I'm definitely gonna miss it. I had a lot of fun in the season you guys had last year, which kind of also brought me to be a part of this and to join you guys and be on board, because you guys did an amazing job last year. I know from experience from having my own leagues and helping other leagues and doing money races, stuff like that, it's not an easy task to just do all of this. It definitely takes multiple hands to keep things going and make everything happen. So I'm honestly happy to be on board to help you guys move this along. Other than that, I'm excited to be here. The racing that I think we're gonna see is gonna be amazing.
I agree with you 100%. And Cody, in our chats, even the way you answered things, the way you talk about things, I can see that you're pretty passionate about doing things right. And I'm the first to admit we did not do everything right last season. I don't think we did anything intentionally wrong. There's just things that happen in the growth of racing and competitive spirit that we didn't exactly get ahead of, but we just wanted to let things play out. And we did that. And we had a ton of racers show up. We had some leave angry, but for the most part, I think people saw that it's just good, hard racing. and they want to be a part of that. So I love where this is going. I love the type of people that we're drawing. And you might know as well as anybody, have you heard much from your friends with the UDSRA, if they're thinking of coming on board, or if they're, what are they saying in the background?
I actually haven't really talked to those guys in quite a long time. If I had to guess, I think a good handful of them are probably going to come on board. I know a bunch of other people that race in other leagues that I'm definitely going to be spreading the word to and being like, hey guys, listen, like car counts are good, the racing's good, and a lot of people will probably come and race just simply because they know I'm kind of race directing because they like how I run things, but. I'll tell you what. Over the years, I have not made a lot of friends being in that position. But that kind of comes with the territory.
No, I've always said the same thing. If your friends appreciate, if they're true friends, are going to understand what you're doing for the sport and not take it personal. And you should be able to get along with everybody at the end of the day. We certainly don't want you losing any friends over us.
Oh no! I don't think that'll happen at all. But like I said, I'm excited to get things rolling and be on board with you guys. Definitely.
Yeah, we'll be
All right,
talking
awesome,
a
Cody.
lot more. Clint, do you mind if I put Cody on this? Cody, do you mind if I put you on the spot with a question?
Yeah, go for it. I'm all ears.
Because Clint and I have been fighting about this for damn near 20 years. What is your feeling on a slide job in dirt racing?
Oh boy, it's got to be clean. It's got to be clean. There's a lot of variables that go into it. The line that the guy takes in the bottom going in, the line the guy takes in the top going in. There's just so much going on, and it happens so quick. I've seen guys clear guys by a mile, and they don't have the momentum coming out of the corner, and it stacks up everybody on the top. And you got to ask yourself, who's really at fault for that? If you're going to pull that slider, make sure you keep your momentum and don't, hold up the race. But at the same time, you can be in the other person's shoes. But like I said, it just all depends on the situation. A lot of things in racing are situational. You see the same thing a lot, but as far as minor details, track position, stuff like that, you almost don't get the same scenario every time.
I like it. I'm pumped to have you on board, Cody. It's going to be a great deal, and I like all his answers already, Adam. I can already tell he's going to be on my side. He's on my side, so it's all right. We're going to get along just fine.
You know what? You're such an idiot. Cody, we'll talk again soon. We'll have a little conversation off the air about how things are going to go down, but I just know we're going to have a lot of fun, and you come as a highly respected official, and we're pretty excited to have you. So thanks for coming on board, and we'll be hearing a lot from you.
Fellas. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Cody. Have a good night. So, Adam, excited to have Cody on board. The Rivalz Racing League, we told everybody how to get on, and super cool. Do we have clips from last night's racing?
No, you know what? They didn't realize that we were coming with the show on Tuesday night this week, so I got an apology there, but no big deal. But I can tell you, last night's racing was fantastic. The track slicked up. There were guys moving forward. There were drivers moving backwards. There was a lot of different lines being run. And again, a few people left angry and a few people didn't. And I mean, that's the sign of a great night of racing, Clint.
Awesome. We've talked about a lot of things so far. We've got about 10 minutes left to go in the show. So if you guys want us to discuss anything, throw it up. Adam, throughout the course of the week, as you and I travel through the racing social world and the world of the World Wide Web and the internet and our racing circles, we come across all kinds of different things. And it's become pretty much a bit of a habit for us for the past month or so through our Facebook Messenger chat between the three of us, including Spencer, where we just say, hey, this is a good topic for the show. And this next segment brings up to two things that came up this week while you and I were out and about. And the first is something you want to discuss. Second is something that I wanted to discuss. So you can tee up the Wayne County fire and your thoughts on what happened there.
My thoughts first are we really hope Andrew Palker is going to make a full recovery I mean, I don't know if you do make a full recovery from second and third degree burns, which is what I'm hearing he suffered in this fire. I think the one comment I would make, I believe Spencer's able to pull this up for us, is
So
racers, you have
he's
the
on
right. You
fire
can see
now.
right. And the fire is through the cockpit of the car. Racers, it is often up to you to make sure you're in good hands. Make sure you're racing at a place that is equipped to handle this sort of situation when it comes up. And I'm not going to throw a place under the bus, Clinton, because it's not really fair to do it. You and I talked about this a little bit, but you can't have the first people run into the car wearing polyester shirts because you're just in the wrong place. Someone did show up with a fire suit and tried to put out the fire, but I only saw one person with a fire suit, because you'd like to have one person trying to put out the fire while someone else gets in and tries to unbuckle the driver and get him out.
You know,
And
it's horrible to see, and of course, you see many drivers. It's obviously their worst fear, and it's just not a good situation. And first thing I said to you is, like I said, I live in a glass house with situations like that. Sometimes you overlook things, big or small. This is obviously huge to be overlooked. One thing that I want to reference back to is one of the biggest expenses we have weekly with the Action Sprint Tour, aside from the purse, when we go out to these other tracks and mainly in the first year was a big deal, was part of our budget when we go to these other tracks is to bring our Oshweekend safety team. So we made a deal with Pat Quinn and Dustin Anderson to supply our medics, our fire crew when we went to Buxton, Brighton, Maryville, Humberstone, and thankfully in the past off season. So this year was their first full year there. Kudos to Don Spieth and Dave Bittner and their crews. They hired Dustin and Pat's crew to service Maryville and Humberstone this year, so it wasn't such of a big deal. Nothing against Brighton and Buxton crew, but I had to know if we were taking sprint cars out to places that didn't have sprint cars, that we had the right extinguishers. Our guys knew the best procedures. And even the thing that I felt at heart about taking our medics and our fire crew on the road is they're going to know that Jacob Dykstra has a bad shoulder, if he did or whatever. I'm just saying hypothetically, they're going to know that this driver had a concussion last week. So they're a little bit more intimate with the history of the patients and the drivers, if we can call them that, to know how to handle each situation. And it was a big thing we always taken seriously on the Action Sprint Tour for sure, especially when we got outside of Oshweekend. But man, because that exact situation
drivers,
could happen.
Make sure you know where the fire truck is, drivers. And it might sound stupid, but there's little things at the start of a night on a pace lap. Just make note of it. In that situation, from what I gather, the brake rotor exploded, broke, punctured the fuel cell. So, I mean, the fire came fast and furious. So, again, thoughts with Andrew on a speedy recovery. You hate seeing that stuff. Before we get to our last topic, also, Charlie Gallant, super late model racer, hearing from our friends at Thompson Photography that he suffered 2 broken vertebrae in his back at Sunset Speedway on the weekend, racing a super late model. And it I don't want to say it was an innocent looking crash, Clinton, but it certainly wasn't spectacular. But just boy, oh boy, the way he hit it. Racing with Glenn Watson, Charlie Gallant was on the inside in the 40.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it does. It looks innocent. I'll give it that to you. And some of the worst, even when Jesse Costa broke his back, car just tipped on its side. It looked like it wasn't a violent. We see 10 times worse wrecks that night, and other guys got out. Just that freak thing with your back. You can't mess around.
Best wishes to a speedy recovery for sure.
All right, so I brought up this topic, heat wind photos, because it frustrates me, and I probably should have shown some examples, but I didn't want to pick on anybody in particular. I mean, I don't know. I've always felt this way. Many years ago at Oshweekend Speedway, some of the photographers started trying to take heat wind photos in the infield, and I chased them out of there. And I realized the photographers want to sell photos, and I realized that some of the guys, that may be their only picture with the checkered flag. But I'm old school in that if I go to Joe's Auto Parts or Bob's Auto Body Shop and I see a picture of the car he sponsored, and I see that driver holding up the checkered flag at the end of in a victory lane photo, I want to know he beat the whole field at the end of the night. Now, do we go out and it's almost like my buddy Anthony, all right? He starts chirping during preseason about the Habs beating the Leafs. Nobody cares about that. Do you stomp your feet and wave the flag when you win hot laps? It doesn't matter. So my argument is we don't give away trophies after the third period of after the first period of the hockey game. It's after the end of the deal. So can we please cut the bullshit with the victory lane photos for heat wins?
How
You
long?
back
How
me
long
on
would our
that?
race program be? How long would our race program be if we had heat race pictures?
I don't even say Adidas weekend where time's an issue. I'm saying there's a lot of other places that do it and these places have double heats. So I'm seeing a list this long of victory lane pictures from the same division, and only
There's
one
people
of
who
those
count.
pictures really matters.
There's people who count heat race wins, Consi wins, and their career win totals. Can you
But
imagine if
that's like a
Brett Hearn
football team
counted heat
counting
race
how many
wins?
quarters. That's like a football
Yeah,
team counting how many
I'm
quarters
with
they
you.
won in a season. Nobody gives a shit
I'm with
about
you.
it. And I want to see them. It frustrates me, man. And these are the things that piss me off on Sunday morning when I wake up in a bad mood and you're poking me, and I'm like, yeah, well, this gets me going too. But I don't know. It frustrates me a little bit. I gotta say,
So
and
we
hopefully we
got
can
some
cut that out.
questions on iRacing, and I see Dakota Kuhn joined. It doesn't say if he left or not, but he must have heard we were talking about him. But what's your guys' favorite dirt track on iRacing? Strangely enough, I'm really liking Williams Grove, and I hated it at first, but it really grew on me. But I've come to realize I'm just not that good, so I like watching Connor. Anywhere he's racing is my favorite track. What about you, Clinton? Do you have one you prefer?
I haven't participated yet, but I thought Williams Grove was going to be one of the worst broadcasts we had last year just because it's tight, long straightaways. It put on some exciting racing. And actually, when I was there watching the sprint cars with the Super Car Series about 4 years ago, it was amazing to see. A great spot. I have to say Williams Grove was great too, But Eldora is always amazing anytime also.
True enough. So,
So we
Clinton,
are going to
do
be
you
at
want
the
to talk
toss of the
politics?
weekend. Do I want to
Forget
talk
it. We already
politics?
talked about that. Yeah, you want to talk politics? Remember that time
No.
when you said to me, hey, I think we should talk politics on the show next week?
Yeah, I do remember saying that.
Do you remember? And what happened?
Go ahead.
What happened?
What do you want to talk about?
You and I talked politics for 45 seconds, and you were so mad that you wanted to hang up the phone.
I know. You know what? I just don't think I should drop my pants and tell the world my beliefs right here on the show right away. But
No, you shouldn't.
I'll get.
That's the moral of the story is what kind of idiot suggests that we should talk politics on a racing show?
Well, look at me. I'll give you an analogy out of my world. Okay, so if I had to say, well, what would you say I drink every day? What's my drink of choice?
You drink Pepsi.
Okay, right, a Pepsi, right? But I'm drinking out of a Coke cup today. Coke glass, okay? So what does that really mean? It doesn't matter whether you pick the blue team or the red team. It doesn't matter in the election because they're going to swallow you up any way they want. All the shit's going to go down the drain, and no matter what it is, each team's going to do what they want. So what you got to figure out is, figure out which one is going to give you less bullshit, and I haven't figured that out yet. Unfortunately, the mudslinging is entertaining as heck. If you're watching social media these days, some of the stuff going on it's crazy.
You can't even say mudslinging. Justin Trudeau got mud slung on him, and they're all up in arms. So that was a bad choice.
But the other thing that I'm into is the Joe Rogan Experience, right? I watch a lot of that, and the scientists on there tell me that we're going to get hit with a comet or some type of solar blast that's going to end us all anyways, like it did 12,000 years ago when the Ice Age came. So Just hopefully that happens before we get screwed again by the government.
Until then,
Is
it's
that
going to
enough
be a
politics?
slow. Yeah, I'm done. I was done before we started, but you had brought it up, so I wanted to demonstrate what a gong show it would be.
Well, I've been under the
So-
weather. It was great talking to you guys, and you know,
In
I haven't had a
closing-
shave for a week. It's been great.
In closing, what's going to come up as we get into October is this program is going to get a lot longer. It is still going to be on Tuesday nights, but it is going to wrap around our iRacing broadcasts. So we're going to shoot the breeze like this. We're going to have guests on, and then we're going to go in and out of our iRacing broadcast when exciting things are happening. We can watch the racing, come back to chatting about things, Clinton. So we're working on a format that we think is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to spend the outdoor off season together, and which will be our indoor season, and have an awful lot of fun.
All right, it's been great talking to everybody. Thanks for joining us on Rivalz Race Chat on a new day, Tuesdays. We'll keep you informed of lots of stuff coming up. Keep watching the Weekend Speedway replays. We're going to keep those going throughout the off season as well. And thanks everybody for a great season. It's been awesome at Weekend Speedway. Tons of great deals are in the works already. We've got lots of big meetings this week. Come out and see Adam and I at Jacasa for the Pinty Series finale this Saturday. We'd love to chat racing with you in person. Go on up and buy me some fingers and Adam a cheeseburger, and we will be good friends. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, Trevor. We'll talk about that topic next. We'll talk about your comment on that topic on next week's show. So tune back in next Tuesday night. Thanks for joining us.